Right, we're back with our friend Greg Frost on the Morning Brew. Just talking about how awesome Beverly was. Wish she could have stuck around.
She's sharp.
Yeah. Are you guys following any of those legislative topics she was talking about at Frost Mortgage?
Not hers. We've got a couple of our own that we're following.
What's the mortgage?
Well,
we're going into the final week of the legislature. Everybody's got a bill, but what do you guys
actually,
looking
the
at?
bills that we were concerned about aren't going to get any traction, so we're real happy.
Yeah.
We were against them all. So
we're hoping they died rather than actually got passed.
And
That's
they
good.
did die.
That's
so
good.
we're happy about that.
With the, I know that there are some things that you are happy about, which is, I guess, VA rates are now getting.
VA rates are low, and the VA loan program is a fantastic program. You know, Dan, we've got military bases all over the state.
Yeah.
Big military bases here.
Right.
And veterans have come through, or currently here have come through, have cycled back through.
Right.
And this VA loan program, there is no better loan program for the consumer than the VA loan program. It's zero.
You have to be a veteran, though.
You have to be a veteran or active military. It's a zero-down loan program, very low interest rates.
We're talking about home mortgages.
Home mortgages, correct. And there just isn't a better loan program. I mean, if it's absolutely positively the best mortgage program that we have to offer.
Its rates are far less than even 4% on those right now.
3.75%.
That's huge.
Well, it really is. And if you put that in historical perspective, you look, just go back a few years. You know, interest rates were 7s, 8s. I remember when I got in the business in '72, interest rates were 7.75%.
And then in the 80s, they were like 12.
Got up in the 80s. They got 12, 15, 18% during the Carter administration. In the first 4 years of the Reagan administration, they got up to 17, 18%.
Yeah.
So there's nothing that I know of today that's so much cheaper than it was 20 years ago, other than mortgage rates, and it's effectively cheaper. I mean, just unbelievably inexpensive.
The money it costs to buy a house now, I mean, out of your personal income is so much less these days compared to what it was back then, right?
Well, it can be, yeah. The ratios, we're working basically the same ratios, payment to income ratios that we were working back in the 80s and 90s.
But you can buy so much more home.
You can, because the interest rates are less than half of what they were.
Yeah, I dig it.
So they qualify. And then a lot of veterans don't know that they still qualify. They may have used their VA 20 years ago, bought a house, used their VA, sold their house, let somebody assume their loan.
Can you re?
Yeah,
you can re-up on that.
You can come back and re-up, and we'll help them find out if they've got VA benefits available. There's two ways.
Are there limits on mortgage benefits out that way?
Well, there are limits. They have their initial allotment. Okay. So if they didn't use it all, they still may have some left.
That's cool.
Okay, and then if they had it and they used it and they sold their house, somebody may have paid that mortgage off, and if they did, they've got their whole allotment to use again. And a lot of veterans don't realize that. They don't realize that loan they had 15, 18 years ago has been paid off, and they've got their VA eligibility again.
And they can go back and get a new
come back to us,
home
and we'll find out for them.
That's very cool. Well, you know, last week you were here and we were talking about reverse mortgages.
Right.
Can you do that? Can you do a VA reverse mortgage, or is that?
No, the reverse mortgage is exclusively an FHA mortgage.
Okay.
It's exclusively. The VA loan is a fully amortized mortgage. It's not a negative amortizing mortgage. So, but at 3.75%, the monthly payments are very small.
That's nothing.
Yeah.
That's nothing. Well, when we were talking to Beverly, she was talking about some of the state contract stuff and some of the right to work stuff. Have you been following those? I know you're a politically oriented guy. You love this stuff as much as us.
Somewhat. I think it's important in a state like New Mexico that's attempting to grow to have all the options.
Right.
And when an employer comes in, we don't want to take things off the table because of right to work. And right to work is a big box, as Beverly said.
Yeah.
The potential employers go down and they look at that right to work issue, and if you're not a right to work state, you just get passed over.
Right.
Gary Tonjes over at AED will tell you that until he's blue in the face.
Right.
And it's absolutely correct.
Yeah. And I think it's an interesting issue. We didn't get a chance to talk to Beverly about why it's being held up in the Senate, but the Senate is democratically controlled, and it's become a very, very partisan issue in Santa Fe during the legislative session right now. And it might not get heard.
Well, you know, that's what's interesting about right to work and unionization. If you take a look at the bulk of people who are unionized in the state of New Mexico, they're people working for the city, the county, the state.
Well, yeah, the bills that's up there would only affect private industry, not the public employees.
Which would do wonders.
Right. I think it's the film business folks are the ones that are really worried about it right now, because most of the business that comes here is union film work.
Right.
I think that's interesting.
But they can still have their union.
Right.
It's just right to work. It's not an elimination of a union.
Right. We'll be back in a couple of seconds. This should be fun, Greg, because we have a poetry recital by Jazz Coffee.
Yes.
It should be a blast with our buddy Steve, the Curious Townie, in just a couple of seconds on the Morning Brew with Friends.